Greetings, I am Tom Merle. Welcome back to this special series of the celebration called Gifts for You. If you haven't yet, I suggest you go back to the very first episode of this series. Not the entire podcast, just this series. That's the first episode that came out in 2022. It'll tell you all about what this series is about. If you don't feel like doing that though, don't worry, my friends. You can jump right in here and still have a great time. Now, just as a reminder, while this intro for this episode might sound very similar to last week's, have no worries. This week we bring you another fresh set of deep, insightful, and meaningful conversations. Today we're going to dive even deeper into this time capsule that we're opening by listening to another set of conversations that I recorded in 2019 just before my daughter was born. And so without further ado, I'll step aside and I hope you enjoy. Well, Set, what's going on?
I'm chilling East Coast time.
That is true. So I'd love for you to introduce yourself to baby by just sharing your name. And there's this icebreaker I made up that no one else has ever done. And it's to share, what does your name mean to you?
Hey, baby, I'm Set, and it's the shortened version of Francette. And my name is me. Francette still feels like me. I don't hate my name, but Set is me when I stepped into myself and when I got tired of other people butchering my name. But it's when I stepped more fully into myself when I was younger.
Do you mind talking about that?
I'm on a journey with my name. You might come to a point where you go through the same thing with your name when you have to step out on your own and like find who you are within whoever you feel like Tom and Adora assigned you to be. And Set is who I had to become and who I felt like I was assigned to be, but also in the mismatch, like the mishmash of things that other people projected onto me in the ways that like they couldn't see me because of the ways they couldn't even pronounce my name when I was younger. And so I just tried to come up with something that was still me, but that people couldn't butcher, but they still found a way to butcher it. And so it's shorter than Jesus, Janet, Madonna. And yeah, that's what it is.
Well, I know who Jesus and Madonna are, but who's Janet?
Jackson, duh.
Okay, there we go.
Baby, I will help you if Tom has not taught you these things already.
So I was going to start there, and I'm glad we already went there. That Set, you're on my Keep Tom Real Humble squad. So what are some Keep Tom Humble things that you want to gift the baby with that they could, in moments where they want to, keep that humble too? What are anything you want to share?
Socks. When you're old enough to have hand-eye coordination, I'll just start sending you socks by just the pack. When dad wants to have his feet up everywhere on the couch, on the table, and your friends are coming over and his feet are just everywhere, just throw socks at him. Questions for when he says things and you're like, have you thought about what you said before you said that? Or have you thought about that since the last time you said it? Questions to make him think about the things that he's saying and to re-examine the things that he's saying. Socks and questions.
Oh, I love that.
That's what I got.
Oh, have you thought about that since the last time you said that? I can't wait for that one my children to start saying that one.
Actually, go. That was off the top.
So I have lots of questions, but I'm also curious, unprompted, is there anything that you want to share that's just on your heart?
At whatever age that you're hearing this, I just hope that regardless of like all the things people come to expect of you because of who your parents are, that you find a way to differentiate yourself from them. Because Tom has a huge personality, and I think that people will come to expect certain things because of that personality and because of like the things that people normally associate with people with that kind of personality or values. And I just hope that you find a way to um, really hone in on who you are apart from what other people think that you should do or be or look like, including Tom. As loving as I think that place will come from, like I think all expectations will ultimately be a prison. And like even if your conclusion still ends up being the same as Tom's, that how you get to that conclusion may be different. And I think I just want you to really honor the process of how you come to that conclusion, and um and honor the voice that you find in the process of coming to that conclusion, even if it ends up being the same as your parents. And there's no shame in coming to the same conclusion as your parents, too. So even if you're like, oh, I actually agree with everything they say, also no shame in that.
Because then at least it's yours.
Yeah.
Mm. What for you is creativity and expression? How does that show up in your life? What would you like to share about those things with the baby?
There's no one concrete answer for me. Well, one of the few concretes I can say is that expression is the opposite of depression. And if you're ever feeling super sad, I'm super familiar with the latter, so talk to me about it. And there's no way to like just stay down indefinitely if you find ways to express yourself. And everybody is creative, everybody is an artist in some way. You just have to honor whatever it is that your art is. Um, and as long as you are finding a way to be generative, to create things or to generate things from a place of who you are, and honoring where you come from, that is creative. That could look like cooking. That could look like woodworking. It doesn't have to look like making music. It doesn't have to look like making a podcast. Like whatever it is, as long as it's coming from a place of who you are and you're honoring where you come from, that's your art and that's your creative process. And just honor that, and you can't go wrong. As long as you're going forward, and as long as you are going in the direction of your vision, you can't take any wrong steps.
I love that. So I'd love for you to share a little bit of your Trinidadian pride, if you don't mind.
I mean, nationalism is dumb, but Trinidad's a great place. Like, it's an actual I think both a melting pot and a salad bowl in the way that America thinks it is, because it is a place. It's not a place without racial problems, but it's a place where nationality is actually more important than race, because at the end of the day, the litmus test of a problem is, but does it mess up the party? And it's like, if a problem does not mess up the party, then it's not worth like, it's not worth it. I mean, people will still chop each other. I'm not going to lie to you. But like, that happens anywhere. Like, people have jealousy issues and violence issues. Like, I'm sure you'll learn about colonialism at home, and Trinidad is no stranger to that as a British Commonwealth. But at the heart of the culture is food and music, and that's important in a lot of places, but that is really what's at the heart of Trinidadian culture, and what the glue that keeps it together, for better or for worse.
One thing that I love about you is you're a really good friend. Is there any insights or advice or recipes for friendship that you'd like to share with baby?
Thank you for that. Show up, baby. Just show up and show up. Um, Not in the ways that you think people want you to show up. Just show up and just be there. Like, even if you have to ask a question, you think that you might look dumb for asking people what they need, just ask them. Like, ask them, are you looking for someone to fix this, or do you just need somebody to listen? And ask them, like, do you need a hug, or do you just want me to sit here? And more often than not, like, even if people don't have an answer, the fact that you bothered to ask them will mean the world to them, and just give people an opportunity to be seen, and they'll figure it out. And the fact that you were by their side to help them figure it out is what will matter.
Another thing that I really admire about you, and a lot of other people I've heard say is, like you own your awesome. Do you agree?
I own my awkward is what I own.
Okay. Do you want to talk about it a little? How do you own whatever you are?
um Sometimes I think I just decide to go forward with it. Like, I think I've heard some people have told me, like, you're fearless, and I'm like, no. I am actually scared shitless much of the time. I've just made an agreement. Sorry, baby. Sorry about my language. I have just made an agreement with myself that we're just going to figure it out. Um, and I'm actually quite scared much of the time. And I was not really bred to be fearless. Much of my upbringing bred me to be the opposite. And so that's a process that I'm constantly working through. So I'm actually quite scared a lot of the time. I've just made an agreement with myself that we're going to figure it out. And I've often made what I consider sometimes to be a wrong decision at the time, but I've just made an agreement that we're going to figure it out one way or the other, and that on the other side of it, that I'll still have myself. And sometimes, like, I just decide that whatever it is that I want or that I'm going for is more important than the fact that, like, I don't know what I'm doing, or that I feel really weird doing it, and that I just don't know one way or the other. And I feel strange anyway. So I'm going to feel weird whether I know what I'm doing or whether I don't. And so if I'm going to be awkward either way, I might as well just figure it out.
I love that. So I see behind you, you have a photo that says Gay Street. What's Gay Street?
It's in New York. I was actually in New York for Pride, probably like 10 or 11 years ago. And I bought it while I was in New York. And I have some other stuff back there that I had made that I sold at Pride last year. So it's all with other queer stuff. And that was my first and only New York Pride that I went to. So I bought it, and I was just into being super gay back then. So I was like, I'm in New York. I'm going to get it. And whatever aspect of your personality, baby, that you're super proud about, I highly encourage you to get stuff to commemorate that part of yourself as well when you have the opportunity to.
I love that. So, what can baby turn to you for with any questions? Like this, like a prompt, like, baby, you can turn to me if you'd like to talk about when you need. What can they turn to you for?
Whenever you're feeling creatively stuck, if you're having mood issues, if you need gassing up, like, one of my things, my best friend Sarah calls me the ultimate hype woman and friend paramedic. Like, I can always find a way to gas you up about something. Like, silver linings are my thing. And I don't I don't like when people are spinning out or shame spiraling. So if you're shame spiraling or you made a mistake and you just feel like I'm the worst, call me. We can figure it out. Text me or whatever the future version of texting is. I don't know. Maybe we'll be able to teleport by then. Whatever. Whatever that is. I've not come across a situation yet where I can't find a silver lining. For better or for worse, that's my strength, and I enjoy doing it. And even when I'm upset with people, I can find a silver lining and find something good about you in that moment to help you at least stop beating yourself up.
I love that. And then the last question is, what's your invitation to baby? The invitation to consider, to think about, to try? What's your invitation?
If you ever want to learn to ride a motorcycle or you want to go on a road trip.
Cutting you off there. New invitation.
If you want to tag team a massive, like 9-foot paint canvas, I got you.
That was the only rule my dad made me agree to. He's like, you can come, you can do anything you want. Don't ever ride a motorcycle. And I think I'm going to continue that tradition.
Can baby ride in the sidecar of my motorcycle?
We'll see. We'll cross that bridge. We'll see.
On like Route 66, because it's an old state highway, so they go way slower, and it only goes from Cali to Illinois.
I feel like this and Can We Get a Dog? This is going to be like my lifelong battle. Of like, no, you can't ride a motorcycle. We cannot get a dog.
Okay. Well, I tried, baby.
But the canvas, yeah, I'm all about that life.
You heard it here.
Anything else set on your heart that you want to speak to before we say goodbye?
No, but I hope you have a long and prosperous life. And for real, I will send you all the socks you need.
Well, Cet, I love you so much. There's not many people I've stayed in touch with for many years, and you're one of those people. So I look forward to you and baby getting to hang out and causing a ruckus. And
I love you too, Merle. Sorry about my language, baby.
What's terrible is I didn't even catch it until you said sorry. I was like, oh yeah, you're right. So I think this is just going to be a thing.
All right. Tell Adora I said hi.
I will. Love you, Cet.
Love you too.
Timothy, I want to thank you so much for agreeing to be a part of this. Really means a lot.
Yeah.
How we like to start is if you could introduce yourself to baby. And the way I want you to do that is to share your name and what your name means to you.
Mm. Okay. Well, hi. My name is Timothy Mays. What my name means to me is it means legacy. It means a chance and an opportunity for a redo in life, particularly because my father and I shared the same name. And so my father, before he passed, was very expressed that he was very proud of me because he felt like I was an improved version of who he was as a man. And so by carrying on his name as a young person, I didn't like having the same name because we got compared a lot. But to carry the name now is an honor and a blessing. And so it's something that I'm truly proud to be able to wear as a badge and to continue to move the name Timothy forward. But then in addition to that, to also just be proud of the fact that there is some, spiritual connection to my name and, further affirming and reminding me that, my presence here on earth is, to do what God has called me to do. So, yeah, I'm excited about that.
That's awesome.
Good.
Well, the way I know Timothy, we out here in LA, we did poetry shows together.
Yeah.
and we've just been building and doing a lot of similar things in different ways, different areas for many years.
Yeah.
Anything you wanted to add to context?
Yeah.
How we know each other?
Yeah. I think, how we know each other is great, but I think one of the things that I wanted to, expound upon was uh, the feeling of knowing each other. I think from the beginning, the first introduction of us getting to know each other, and from then on, it's really been about building community in a very selfless, egoless way, if that's even a word, but without ego, and really about love and care for other people. And every time I've been around your dad, uh, it's always been in the company of folks from all walks of life and various different cultures. And so when I think about how we've met each other and how we've continued to connect with each other, it's generally been about building community and helping others. And so I think that's one of the things that is important to know about how we met in our relationship.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So let's start there. For you, why is it important to build community? What does it mean to build community?
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I think building community is important and essential because community reminds you of who you are. It reminds you of the core values that you have, and it holds you accountable to those core values, and it also loves you and embraces you when you need it, right? And it gives you the space and environment to know that you belong and that you're welcome, and that you're cared for. And so as we kind of navigate and move through life, sometimes experiences can be very isolated, and sometimes the world can make you feel as if you are isolated. But I think your community reminds you of who you are, and that your heart and your intention for doing things is rooted out of the love and the work that the community has done before you. And so as long as you always remember and move forward knowing that community is essential and most important, and that community can exist in various ways. And it doesn't just have to be in a large group, but community could be also within yourself, with your thoughts, your feelings, your experiences. And that can also translate outward to other folks as well.
On that last one you started to talk about, feelings.
Yeah.
Feelings can be so confusing, especially when they're so strong. And
Yeah.
what has been your journey, or what is some advice you have about the importance about talking about your feelings, and
Sure.
if anything, reflections you want to share on that?
Sure. I don't know if everyone, subscribes to the idea of superheroes, but I believe feelings are your superpower. If you can use that as a metaphor. Feelings are the things that remind you. They're kind of your senses, and they are your senses, but they allow you to know and understand how you operate and how you want to conduct yourself in given situations. And I think the more that you allow yourself to experience the wide range of feelings that exist, the more you can draw from that power. We talked about it in a separate conversation, but your feelings have the ability to draw people in a way that you may not be able to do otherwise with your words, right? Sometimes folks will see you crying, and whether that cry is from sadness or from pure joy, it will draw other people to you. And sometimes it has the ability to repel folks when you need it to. But all of those experiences and feelings are healthy. And it's important for you to be able to experience those things and allow yourself to experience those things, because once you figure out how you want to experience your emotions, you allow, or you give people the courage to experience the fullness of their emotions as well. So use your powers for good, for good, and it'll always come back to you in a very beautiful way. I won't say positive, but beautiful way. In a beautiful way.
I would love for you too if you could talk a little bit about education. I know you're an educator now,
Yeah,
and you read, you love education, but I know that hasn't always been your
yeah,
passion. So anything you want to share about education?
yeah. I think one of the things that I learned most about education is that education is important, and it's also a superpower. And it's a tool that you can definitely use to help build out what you want to experience in life. I think it's important to always challenge yourself to know and understand that your education should not be limited to a particular classroom or a particular environment, but you should allow yourself to pursue education in everything that you do. There's an opportunity for you to learn in everything that you do. Be inquisitive, be confidently inquisitive, because the second that you lose your why and your ability to ask questions is the second that you diminish your voice just a little bit. And so, as you continue to ask questions and inquire about what is going on and what's happening in the world, the more educated you become about what's happening, and you can make more informed decisions. And I think when you make informed decisions, you allow yourself to move out of the way of harm or hurt of yourself and others. And so, books are amazing. Sometimes, people will say things like being smart is uncool, but that is not true. Being smart is a superpower. Using your intellect and your words and your feelings wisely can educate yourself and others around you. And yeah, yeah.
Hey, pay attention to Uncle Timothy.
Yeah, I'll say this too, just really quickly. I think too with education, I think it's important to know and understand that education or being educated doesn't necessarily make you better than anyone, but it does make you more responsible. And so the second that you realize that someone may not be as gifted or as privileged as you are, to have been surrounded and build community around being educated, that you have an opportunity and a chance to expose and pull other people in to the processes of how to truly become educated about self, about love, and about community as well.
I love that.
Mhm.
What about you talked about finding your voice. What can you
Yeah,
share about creativity, expression, all of
yeah,
that kind of fun stuff?
yeah. We're having a whole conversation about superpowers tonight. Um, Creativity. I explain to folks a lot that I believe creativity is just imagination in its adult form. Sometimes we tell young people to be, oh, they're just using their imagination, and then when we get to a certain age, we encourage folks not to be imaginative. We encourage them to be realistic, and then we operate or move it into a space of creativity. And I would encourage you to always move and think about ways that you can be creative and use your imagination to think up things that don't currently exist, because those are the things that are necessary to help heal and forward the world, to forward yourself, uh, and to help build a stronger sense of community. When you learn the power of being able to be creative, you learn that there's a huge responsibility that comes with it, because you have the ability and the opportunity to advocate for yourself and you have the opportunity to advocate for others. And when you know and understand that your voice has the ability to do that, you start to use it in a very powerful way. So I won't tell you to write on the walls with markers because I don't want Dad to be upset. But please doodle on as much paper and canvases as you possibly can, and know and understand that everything it has art in it, and you can use and draw from anything as inspiration, especially those feelings. So yeah.
Well said. So Adora and I, mommy and daddy, we're going to work very hard to make sure that you, baby, feel very proud to be Black and feel in love with your Blackness, your hair, your skin, everything about it, your history. We also know that society is stacked against us in instilling that. And there's going to be times where you're going to have doubt, worry, anxiety. When we're wondering, Uncle Timothy, if there's anything that you want to share with our child to help us instill that pride. Any advice when, as a young person struggling with anything you want to share?
Yeah, I think one of the most powerful things that I could remind you of is that out of all the millions and billions of people in the world, there's only one you. And I think sometimes we get lost in comparisons between ourselves and others based on materialistic things and facial features and money and things of that nature. But you have something that no one else has, which is your DNA, your specific DNA. You have those beautiful facial features. You have the way that you think, the unique pathways in your brain, and all those things were given to you with a specific purpose. And it's important for you to remember that everything that you have is unique and specific to you. And when you start to think about or have those days where folks attempt to make you feel as if you are unworthy or that you're different or whatever the case may be, it's important for you to understand and know that God cared about you so much that you were given special qualities and characteristics that no one else in the world has. And if you operate and move out of that understanding, you'll know what your place is in the world. And when I say know your place in the world, I mean know that you are valuable, that you are loved, and that you are cared for, and that you always have something to contribute to wherever you are and in whatever space you are in.
I love that. What can our child turn to you for? Or you can turn to me when you need, or if you need, or when you want to talk about, what can they do that?
Yeah, you can turn to me for community. You can turn to me for love. You can turn to me for care. It may be radical to your mom and dad, but you can turn to me for conversation about things that that you may or may not feel comfortable talking to mom and dad about. I hope that you would, because your parents are phenomenal, and sometimes you may not think that they are, but they definitely are. And I want you to know that you can turn to me for encouragement. You can turn to me for advice. You can turn to me for a listening ear. And you can turn to me for somebody, just knowing that you have somebody who is genuinely in your corner, who wants to see you succeed in everything that you want to do, and whatever your idea of success is. And last but not least, you can turn to me and know that you have somebody who loves you and cares for you, even though I may not be in the physical space with you, or I may not be around very often. But that is the power of community, is knowing that there are folks, even that you are not in regular contact with, who care for you, purely just because of the community that you are a part of.
Well, thank you so much, Timothy. I look forward to y'all getting to hang out and all of us cause some ruckus together and some good times.
Oh yeah.
Last question for you. What would you like to invite baby to do, to think about? What's your invitation to baby?
Yeah. My invitation to you is to, again, ask as many questions as you possibly can. Don't lose your ability to inquire and to think about things in a way that, you know, is unique to you and specific to you. I also invite you to be courageous and to constantly reflect on self. I invite you to think about what self-care and self-love looks like for you. Because sometimes in life we are separate from, you know, mom and dad, and we have to make difficult decisions on our own. And when you understand and know what you really truly care about and what's important to you at the core, you'll always make the right decision because that was the decision that you felt was best in your heart. And so I invite you to think about that and consider that always. Reflect on what decision, what thought process, what feeling, what emotion is being called for you to use at that particular point in time.
I love that. Well, thank you, Uncle Timothy.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed the conversations that I'm sharing with you this week. And I hope you return again next week to continue this series, Gifts for You, and continue to receive the insights, the messages, and if I can use the word again, the gifts that each conversation is ready to share with you. My friends, I thank you for being here with us this week, and I look forward to you returning again next week for the next edition of Gifts for You. As always, I'm wishing you peace and blessings. See you next week. Thank you. One more thing. I'd love to continue the conversation. Feel free to join me at tomearl.com/join. Subscribe below, or let's connect on social media. Tom Earl Artist. Thanks again for watching.